Hello, thanks for stopping by. So, why aren't you growing? Is this something you're worried about? This is kind of the theme of what we're talking about is why aren't you growing? And a lot of times people come to me or tell other people and they end up coming to me that way is that they don't have enough leads. And that's the issue. Gosh, if they just had more leads, they could grow. So, I'm we're going to talk about this and why we can fix that and how we can fix that. And so I start with the numbers. So while it might make sense to just jump in and say, okay, we need to increase spending and do this and just kind of panic, we actually start looking at the numbers first. So how many sales do you need to make in a quarter? How many closings? How many um, how many bids do you need to put out? We need to know that. But then also, how many big sales do you need to make in a quarter? How many small sales do you need to make in a quarter? Because I don't know anyone that always does one size, unless it's small, if you have a one offering. But most of my clients have multiple offerings and can do multiple things. And sometimes you need the small projects to fill in between the big projects. So how many do you really need? How many big ones? How many small ones to reach your goals? So we start with that. How many do you need? So, how many conversations? So, if you're saying, okay, I need to talk to 18 people before I get a bid out, or do you need to have 18 conversations, which are basically getting the bid out? How many of those conversations do you need to get to those sales numbers that you want? Then we look at how many people that raise their hand and say, yeah, okay, I'm interested in having a conversation, or leads. We can call those leads. How many people are saying, yeah, I want to talk to you, to get you to get those 18 conversations or whatever number that is to get those sales that you need. So once we have that information, that's super valuable. And a lot of people tell me they have that information, but they don't just know it. And that tells me that maybe you don't check it very often, and maybe that was once the correct number, or maybe it's there somewhere, but you just have to look at it because you actually have never looked at it, but the data's there, so you have it. I've seen that too. So once we have the information on how many leads you really need, then we can go into where your leads coming from, or just go into figuring out where your leads could be coming from. And then we start testing, test and measure, test and measure. You'll hear that a lot from me if you stick around me for very long. But we are testing what's working and what's working well, or maybe working but not working very well. So we really want to see how many leads from each source are giving you leads, are giving you those conversations and giving you clients, but also are they giving you big projects or little projects? So if you sell, well, if you have your ads on, say, LinkedIn, for instance, and you get 5 leads, 3 of them become calls, one becomes a client, and it's a really big client, that seems like a pretty good deal. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe your average is that's actually not that good. And maybe it's not a big client. Maybe it's a really, really, really tiny client. Maybe in the same time period that you've gotten that one client, you have 32 clients from, say, Facebook. So, evaluate. And if you're spending the same amount to get that one client versus the 32, then it's not bad. Maybe it's terrible, but maybe it's not too bad. But obviously, spending the same amount for 32 clients is going to be a better deal. So it's not always that cut and dry. Sometimes you will get 30 leads from one source and 300 from another. But that 300 leads only gets you 2 clients, and the 30 leads gets you 2 clients. Again, that's kind of easy to see, but those 2 clients for that 300 maybe are really big leads, maybe big projects, and the other two are small. So look at all of the numbers, because once we can say, okay, this is obviously a good bet for us. If we've done it once, we could probably do it again. We can test and measure, see if we can improve it, whatever needs to happen. but we can increase leads once we know what is working. And we don't know what's working unless we check the numbers and we look at those key performance indicators. What is working about this? Obviously, posting 8 times a day is going to be more effective than posting every 3 weeks. That's a key performance indicator. Obviously, if I'm going to be spending $8,000 a month on this, we need to make sure we have the best stuff in there. If we're going to spend $8 on it and not put any effort into it because it's only $8, well, obviously it's not going to work. So we have to test what's going to work to see if it's going to work or not. And then once we have those numbers, then we can say this is working or not working and get more leads that way. So if you are saying, I'm not getting leads, if we just had more leads, we could grow, then start testing, start tracking and measuring what is happening in your business to see if it's working or not working and what leads to those sales. So, and what leads to those big sales, not just small sales. So, I hope that helps. Have you ever said, gosh, I wish I had more leads? Just comment below if that's something you've ever said, because I'm interested. I hear it a lot, but have you said it?